All right, Saturday afternoon, college football breakdown here. This is one of the most underrated rivalries in college football. We got the Cy-Hawk rivalry, Iowa State going to Iowa. I think the perception around Iowa last week, I want to thank everybody on social media who, in a viral fashion, dragged Iowa's offense through the mud. I'm not saying it wasn't deserved, but obviously Iowa won a very ugly 7-3 game against South Dakota State last week. But this line should not be 3.5. It's as simple as that. I played Iowa at minus a 3.5, and I also played the under 40.5, both for one unit. A little double whammy here in this rivalry matchup. Listen, Kirk Ferentz has never had a good offense. His system has always been we're going to rely on elite defense and elite special teams. And you know what? We're going to be relevant in the Big Ten West every year. It's worked he's the longest tenured head coach in college football. It obviously works. I think it has a chance to work as much this year as it has at any point throughout his time at Iowa. This was the top 5 defense in the country a year ago, and they might be one of the best, if not the best, defenses in college football this year. Their front seven is fantastic. They totally dominated up front against South Dakota State last week, which, yeah, I know it's South Dakota State, but their linebacking core is among the best in the country. Obviously, Iowa State loses Breece Hall off of last year's team, who is the biggest loss on the team, the number 1 running back off the board in this past draft. Jaleel Brock is a guy that is averaged under 5 yards per carry throughout his career. I don't think he's capable of stepping up in this type of matchup. So Iowa State is not going to be able to establish any sort of run game in this one. It's also quarterback Hunter Deckers' first career road start. He's still a very inexperienced guy. I tend to think he's not this huge step down from Brock Purdy. I thought Purdy was extremely overvalued. I think long-term Deckers actually could be a pretty good option for Iowa State, but you're going on the road to Iowa. You're taking on an elite defense. Your first career road start. I'm probably not going to back you in that game. I just have a hard time seeing Iowa State having much time to establish any sort of downfield passing game. Given the Iowa pass rush, they're pretty solid in their secondary as well, but I really think it comes up front. I know that Iowa State has a pretty veteran-laden offensive line. I just don't think they're good enough to handle this Iowa front seven. We saw it in last year's game. I think we'll see it in this year's game as well. So I think Iowa's defense is gonna win them this game alone. Obviously, though, you do need some offense, and I'm the first guy to admit Iowa's virtually no threat in the vertical passing game. With that being said, I do think there is a pretty good path here for them to just pound the run game. I do think over time that's going to wear down this Iowa State front seven. The one thing Iowa State can do is get after the quarterback. I do like what they have coming off the edge, but they're extremely young and inexperienced in their interior defensive line. That they lost a major linebacker piece off of last year's team in Mike Rose, and think some of those pieces at that second level they're going to be asked to step up aren't ready for this type of matchup yet. Personally, I thought Iowa's running game got a lot better throughout last season. That's certainly the strength of their offensive line core is in run blocking. Obviously, they lose Tyler Goodson, but it turns out that he wasn't all that he was made out to be. Those young running backs look good in the bowl game against Kentucky. Gavin Williams, who projects to be their best running back, was out last week. Think he's going to be back for this one. I think over time, Iowa's just really going to be able to wear out that Iowa State front seven. And at the end of the day, I'll say it again, Kirk Ferentz's system works. He's owned Matt Campbell in this rivalry. I think Iowa State will be a team to watch out for that's going to get a lot better throughout the year, but way too much uncertainty and just youth coming into this matchup for me to think that this is the year that they come in and win this game on the road against a team that they've struggled against notoriously over the last 5 or 6 years. So I think this line is extremely short. I think the perception around Iowa's offense is just, but what doesn't get talked about is how elite they are defensively. I think that wins them this game. I think they could win this game by double digits. I'm going to lay the 3.5 with Iowa, but also these are two extremely slow-paced teams. If the total at 40.5 wasn't enough of a hint, this is going to be an extremely low-scoring game. I think this ends somewhere around 20-10 towards Iowa's favor. So I do think this under 40.5 will come through as well. A little double whammy, like I said, for you. I've actually already released my best bets here for week 2. Got those out this morning here on Wednesday. I'm looking to have the rest of my card out by Thursday. The main place you can follow me is on Twitter at Fordham Betting. I'll also leave all of my other information in the description below. One more thing, too, head over to proud90.com. They got all your golf apparel needs. You see this shirt right here. I know you've been staring at it the whole time. Head over to proud90.com. Code Fordham at checkout. It's going to get you 15% off your order. All the other information will be in the description. Appreciate y'all watching the video. Like I said, this is a very underrated rivalry. It should be a great one to watch. At the end of the day, I think Iowa's got a lot more established. I think they're extremely good defensively and do think their run game does show some improvements this week. I'm going to lay the 3.5 with Iowa. play that under 40 and a half, both for 1 unit.